Hey guys, this is quite a surprise. Hello everyone. I don't know if anyone's going to hop on. I don't even know if I'm live. I did a members only live on Michelle After Dark the other night, and for whatever reason, StreamYard just completely freaked out on me. And it was showing me live on StreamYard, but not live on YouTube, which was really weird. But yeah, there was that. So I'm just going to double check that I am actually live on YouTube, because I don't know that I am. Oh, I am live. I am live. Great. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hello, Nana and Brown Bird Jamboree. Thanks for hopping on. This is quite a surprise. I did not plan to go live today, and it is 1:10 in the morning. So I absolutely did not plan to go live. However, I was just doing a little peruse of YouTube, and I came across this press briefing, and it's a really good Michael Vaughan update. And I expected them to do a press briefing on the 1 year mark. If you've been following little Michael Vaughan's case, he went missing almost a year ago. So it was the 27th of July, 2021. So in just a few days' time, he will be missing an entire year. So I did expect a press briefing from JD Huff, the police chief of Fruitland Police. I expected it on the 27th. So lo and behold, I was incredibly surprised that they've done it today, but he explains why they did it today. It's just that everybody from, the Idaho State Police, the Search and Rescue, the FBI, they all have very busy schedules. And this was just the day that they could all get together and all represent their organizations. So some of you might have seen this. If you've been following the case closely, you may well have seen this already. However, for those of you who haven't, I'm going to play you this press briefing. I'm going to stop it at intervals just to comment, and let's go. So I'll just give it a minute or two just to give people a chance to hop on, and then I don't kind of start repeating myself. So Pointer Lover, Brenda, Danny, Grandmother Crone, Genetic Genie. Oh, I like that name. Suzanne, Nancy and Tien, Absolutely Cheryl, Michelle, great name. Only Grands, Irene, Two Red Boy, Tina King, K Rose, Dina, Jan, Neela, WD, Tracy, Tina, Maria, Only Grands again, Pamela, Elizabeth, Jenna. There's quite a few people hopping on now. Lee, hello everyone. Lady May, Sherry, Gloria, loads of people hopping on now. I am a true crime nut. I'm up late. I'm always up this late, to be fair. This is the time when I go really tired in the afternoon, and then sometimes have a nap if I'm able, and then I wake up about this time, and I'm wide awake. But I don't normally decide to make videos or hop on lives or anything like that, because it's a bit strange. But it was a great press release, so I'm assuming that you've already seen it. But there's some really good information in it, so I think I want to just get it out, share it. Hi, Mississippi Girl, Brown Bear again, Real K-pop. I just wanted to get this out. I would have done a video on it tomorrow, regardless, or later today for me, seeing as it's already Saturday for me. I guess for most of you guys, it's still Friday evening. Anyway, without further ado, let's do. And I will stop it at various intervals. Thank you so much, Jan, coming in there with a very generous super chat. Wow, caught alive. It was a good presser, but sad, no new info. There was some little snippets. I mean, no, there's no new info, as in they can't share, details in the investigation. Michael hasn't been found. They've still no idea where he is, what happened to him. However, there's some real interesting nuggets that I thought is really useful just to hammer home to people who are concerned about the timeline, who think that Tyler Vaughan had the time to murder Michael and hide his body, and some of the more silly, ridiculous, weaselly things that have come out over the last year. And for that reason, I think this was, it was good. It was very timely and useful. No, it's just starting, True Crime Utah. It's just starting. I've been live for 6 minutes. So I was just giving time for people to hop in, and I'm going to play you the press briefing from today. It's brand new. It's a Michael Vaughan update. It's almost a year since Michael disappeared from his home, outside of his home, on his street, just literally outside of his home in Fruitland, Idaho. So the police chief, J.D. Huff, is presenting and taking questions. There's representatives from Idaho State Police, the Search and Rescue, FBI, loads of people who've been involved in that organization, the organization and the search for Michael. Okay, so let me play this. Let me know if there's an echo. There shouldn't be, but just let me know if there is. I'm not starting it right from the beginning because he does some introductions, and I'm just going to start from the information. When he gets to the questions, I can't hear what the reporters are asking him. So, don't tell me to turn it up. I can't. It's just that the microphones didn't pick up the questions. There's no echo yet because I'm not playing the press conference yet, Karen. But once I start playing the press brief, just let me know if there's an echo. That's not true. The parents are there. They are here. Look. He actually introduces them. Hold on. There they are. They're all there. So we've got Brandy, Tyler, Grandpa, and little baby Bug. So yes, they are all there. Yeah. All there. Okay, I've lost my place now of where I was going to start. Oh, Cassie's arrived. Everyone's asleep. But Cassie's arrived. Oops, I've just poked her in the eye, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Cass. Sorry, Cass. Okay, right. Okay, I'll get my spot back. Oh, I think I'm okay. Right, I'm going to start it from there. All right. No, I won't. I'll start it a bit later. Let's go there. Right.
I quickly want to recognize the Fruitland Police Department, the men and women of our department, as our staff continues to work tirelessly to keep this department moving forward as we continue to investigate Michael's case. So their loyalty and courage and tenacity is clearly unmatched. And it's a privilege to lead and work with these people every day. I just wanted to introduce some of my partners. As I've done in the past, our partnerships haven't changed. I'd like to introduce Supervisory Agent in Charge Doug Hart with the FBI, Captain Matt Sly with the Idaho State Police, Chief Gary Marshall with the Payette City Police Department, Sheriff Andy Creech with the Payette County Sheriff's Office, and Mark Sullivan with the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue. We also have with us today the family of Michael Vaughan. We've got Brandy Neal, Tyler Vaughan, and Bob Vaughan, and Bug. So it's nice to have them here with us today. So since the evening of July 27th, 2021, the Fruitland Police Department, the Idaho State Police, the FBI, law enforcement agencies and law enforcement agencies across the country have investigated the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. We haven't stopped. Every day we have unfinished business, and I'll tell you that every day is an anniversary of the disappearance from Michael Vaughan for us. Law enforcement, the families of law enforcement, and our community. Our investigation remains intense and strong. So I want to take a moment to just kind of cover some significant aspects of the case to provide some context for those who aren't completely familiar with our case, or those might be jumping in a little bit later. A lot of it I've covered in prior press conferences, but I wanted to cover it again today. So Michael Joseph Vaughan was last seen at his residence on Southwest 9th Street at approximately 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, July 27, 21. Law enforcement received the first call by 911 at 7:21 p.m., and we began an immediate search of the area.
So I just want you to imprint in your brain when the 911 call was. So I knew from early on it was 7:21, but loads of people have questioned me saying, how do you know it's 7:21? And I was like, it was in a presser. It was in a presser at some point. I know it was 7:21. So there you go. JD Huff has said it again, 7:21. Bear that in mind as we go through this.
And I should note that law enforcement across the country receives these type of calls every year. Numerous calls like this, we call them wander-offs, and they conclude, but after finding the child safely with friends or family, and clearly it's typically a breakdown in communication. So you need to know the first missing and endangered alert went out at 8:20, with different alerts to email, phone calls, text messages being issued to area residents until 11:20 that night. Michael's image and information went out to law enforcement nationwide on a database called the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC. And Michael's also been entered into the State of Idaho Missing Person Clearinghouse and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Fruitland Police, Payette Police, and Payette County deputies and citizens searched through the night until support arrived the following morning. The ensuing response was immense. We had over 100 law enforcement officers from federal, state, and local agencies, including the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, along with trained search teams, converge on our small city of Fruitland. Our physical search efforts were conducted by experts from the Idaho Fish and Game, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, both Fruitland and Sand Hollow Fire Departments, multiple law enforcement agencies, and coordinated citizen searchers. The search included over 200 residential homes, properties including outbuildings, a septic tank, garbage cans, vehicles, irrigation ditches, and drain canals.
He hasn't stopped. He hasn't stopped with the long list of things they did. But I just want to jump in here just for a second and say, for anybody who thinks that Tyler or anybody connected to the family was able to hide, to murder Michael in the short time frame, and the window is now very, very tight. They've honed in on the window. It's coming up. And then they searched through the night. They had agencies coming left and right, every which way. They searched through the night, and then that team was relieved in the morning. How could somebody murder a kid at short notice? Because presumably, it's not going to be planned, is it? And hide a body under the noses. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to think. And I know that the vast majority of people who followed this case do not think that Michael was murdered by a member of his family. But I have to hammer this point home, because there is that contingency of people who continue to say this person's shifty, that person's shifty, and the police don't believe it. Therefore, I don't know what to tell you, but I am going to carry on pointing out all of the problems with the Michael was murdered by his family theory, if you can call it that, because there's zero evidence. How you can have a theory with zero evidence, I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
Search teams and law enforcement along with specialized canine teams from across the country searched over 3,000 acres of farm ground along with areas surrounding the city and out into the county. Sophisticated drones, boats with sonar, boats with canines, kayaks, paragliders. I would say that if we could have dammed the Snake River, we would have. With the help of residences and businesses, we were able to retrieve hours and hours of security camera video, and we continue to reference that video while working on our leads. So let's talk about since the disappearance of Michael. When I tell you our investigation has been intense and daily, I can assure you that it has been. Since the disappearance, detectives and investigators across the country have logged tens of thousands of man-hours to bring this case to conclusion. We've gathered an immense amount of data and continue to work through it with experts from several agencies. We've applied for and served over 27 search warrants, but that may seem low, but I'm telling you that we've also performed, probably triple that in mutual consent type searches. So the search warrant and consent searches we've performed have yielded high volumes of data, and search warrants are still being written today. The data requires expertise from law enforcement partners, and this takes a lot of time to decipher. We continue to use all of our investigative resources, to include that of the Idaho State Police and our friends at the FBI. Further, the Idaho State Police and the FBI have assigned investigators to work specifically with the City of Fruitland Police Department on this case, and our partnership is healthy and strong. We continue to call upon the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue teams with their specialized canine units, and we've received some recent leads that have put us out in the area again, searching more acreage. And I can't thank them enough for what they've done for us. On a moment's notice, they're jumping and running for us. Although unsuccessful with these searches, we can't stop, and we appreciate the continued support from all of our members. And I would tell you that the number of acres searched will continue to grow. So in our efforts to develop a detailed timeline of events leading up to Michael's appearance, we've processed over 1,000 leads. So we've cleared many of these leads, but not all have been cleared because some require assistance from out of state, more investigators, and probably more importantly, just time to work these things through to make sure we can bring each lead to a conclusion. This process is exhaustive, and it takes a lot of time, and we believe someone out there will ultimately provide us with some information that'll help us solve this case. It's important to note that as we continue to refine our timeline, we now believe that Michael disappeared in a smaller window of time, and that's probably between the time of 6:40 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on the 27th.
There we go. So there's a 20-minute window. So the police are not going to put out there was a 20-minute window without having firm evidence that there was actually a 20-minute window. So yes, Brandy has come out and talked and said there was neighbour surveillance footage. People have said we only hear about the surveillance footage from Brandy, but JD Huff goes on to say the amount of surveillance they've got that they're able to utilize throughout the entire investigation. So that's coming up. However, 6:40. So Michael must have been seen or either on surveillance or by someone at 6:40 that they've been able to verify. And then 7 p.m. Now, what Brandy has said is that Tyler was at the splash pad, which is only a couple of minutes away from the home, and that's where Michael liked to go. And I think he was there a shade after 7 o'clock, if it was something like 7:01 or 7:03 or something. So I've always worked from roughly a 20-25 minute window anyway, when I've done lives or videos about Michael, I've been working off that premise that I think they said Michael he went missing between 6:30 and 6:45. So if you take that 6:30, then you're looking at 30 minutes, 35 minutes, but they've narrowed it now to a very firm 20 minutes. So they're not going to tell the public that. They're not going to stand there with agencies from the Idaho State Police, the FBI. They're not going to stand there and say there's a 20-minute window if they are not sure that there is a 20-minute window. So I say again, how can it be possible for them to murder a child within a 20-minute window and hide, and hide his body, having rung 911 at 7:21? Right. So, right, let's say Michael was last seen at 6:40. Right. Tyler ran out. He ran to the splash pad. He was running this way and that way. Brandy arrived, met Tyler. Yes, this is all according to Brandy, but it all fits this timeline. Brandy's timeline fits this timeline. And then they realized he was actually missing. He hadn't just eloped and was in a neighbor's yard or a neighbor's garden or whatever. Or, you know, they looked this way and that way, and then they rang 911. So it was quick. Boom, 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 boom. Quick. This isn't Summer Wells where we've no idea what the timeline is. This is not the same kind of situation as Summer Wells. So people who are saying, well, you know, if you're thinking this way about the Wells, then why aren't you thinking this way about the Vaughan and Brandy? Why is it different? It's different because the situation's very different. Here we've got a very specific timeline. We've always had a very tight timeline in this case. But now J.D. Huff on the record has said there's a 20-minute window in which Michael disappeared. They know exactly where they've verified it. Very different situation. Very different.
Earlier in the investigation, we needed assistance in identifying two vehicles and two pedestrians that were seen in the area around the time of Michael's disappearance. So you guys need to know that we possibly identified the blue Dodge Avenger we were looking for, and the man that we saw jogging in that area. Those have both been identified, vetted, and investigated, and to an end. So the white Honda Pilot, 2016 to 18 Honda Pilot that we have leaving the area at approximately that time. You know, again, we believe that it belongs to a resident, but we haven't quite been able to clear that and verify that. So that's kind of still an outstanding for us.
That is so weird. You know, it could be something really silly. You know, people don't come forward for really silly reasons, like they weren't insured, they were driving while disqualified. You know, there's something that's stopped that person coming forward. You know, if they believe they're a resident, well, they must have, well, they have got that. I've got photographs somewhere. This was very short notice, so I haven't kind of dug anything out from my Michael files. But there's a news article, several actually, with a picture from surveillance of the white Honda Pilot. So presumably, if this is a resident, then other residents will recognize that vehicle. So why they couldn't, I don't know. It's odd. It's strange. So where is that vehicle now? Where is that resident now? It's just very strange. And anyway, but yeah, so the white Honda Pilot is still in play because there has been some argumentation about which vehicles are still in play. The Dodge, they've clarified that. The blue Dodge, they've clarified that. That's no longer in play. But the white Honda Pilot is still in play.
The man seen walking through the area of the splash pad of Crestview Park leading up to the time of Michael's disappearance, he's not come forward and he has not been identified. So the man's described as a white male adult, late 20s, early 30s. He was seen wearing black shorts, a white t-shirt with cut-off sleeves, dark-colored shoes, and a hat. So I need to make it perfectly clear that he is not a suspect, but we need to talk to him so we can determine his whereabouts and see if he witnessed anything that would be helpful in this investigation. So I plan on releasing a photograph of that individual in my Facebook official posting later today. So you'll all have that.
I haven't had a chance to go and hunt for that, but I will. And so we've got a young man, 20s, early 30s, white male, description of clothing. I do believe there was a guy caught on surveillance. I might even have a photograph already of him, but maybe they've got a closer up image. So who is that guy? So the man walking through the park, which Crestview Park is the splash pad, right? It's I'll show you when we've gone through this. I'll just get the map up and I'll show you exactly where these points are, because you can just see how close together they are. That if this guy had taken Michael, or the guy, whoever was driving the white Honda, it was quick. They took, honestly, and Michael was so close to home as well. So close. So close.
You need to understand this is a multifaceted investigation. So many leads are working. We're working many leads at the same time. So some leads are temporarily abandoned as priority leads come in, and that's happened to us on multiple occasions. Once abandoned and we clear the priority leads, then we pick those things right back up and we're working on them again until we can work them to conclusion, right? It takes an intense effort and a lot of work to document all of the leads as they're coming in. And at the conclusion of this investigation, I'm hopeful we'll find the answers. It's important that our case is organized and very strong. So I will tell you that this is a criminal investigation. So with that,
right, I'm going to stop. I've got a picture of the guy. I've got the guy. Okay, I'm going to have to swap out this. I'll come straight back to it, but I've got the guy, and it's a good image as well. There we go. That's him. See if we can zoom in. So City of Fruitland Police. It's on City of Fruitland Police Facebook group page, whatever they are. News release, an FB post, update, missing Michael Joseph Vaughan, been 1 year, long description. And this is the guy. So can't see his face at all. Possibly beard there. Not that helpful, is it? But that's the guy. I'm going to save that. Save that one as well. I think it's the same, just zoomed in. There you go. So if you want to take your own shots of that, it's on City of Fruitland Police Facebook page. I bet it's on Twitter and everywhere else now. So, okay, back to the presser.
That you need to know that the majority of our investigative efforts just cannot be made public at this time. As members of the community, we agonize with the family, and we've dedicated our resources to bringing Michael home. So we believe the continued distribution of this story will generate more attention and tips that can be investigated by our department and our partners. So anyone having information regarding Michael's disappearance, I would ask you please reach out to us. No tidbit of information is too benign or too obscure. It just helps us process the overall picture. We appreciate the efforts of the community, members of the media partners, We keep this case at the forefront by promoting and sharing the story, and we encourage all of you to continue sharing the official poster from the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse. I would like to introduce a new partnership today. It's called the Homeward Bound Program. The program was first started by Trooper Renee Padgett with the Washington State Patrol in 2005. She was working with the WSP Commercial Vehicle Division. Trooper Padgett worked with then the Gordon Trucking with the vision that posters of missing children being displayed on sides of semi-trailers traveling around the country could bring much needed awareness and possibly recovery. With the help of Tanea Parmenter with the Idaho State Police, we've been able to partner with the Homeward Bound program, which will carry Michael's information across the country on semi-trailers. As designed by Trooper Padgett, this will expand the exposure of Michael's case on the interstates, highways, and roads of our country, which will bring new leads and potentially help us bring Michael home. We're hoping to have semi-trailers outfitted with Michael's information near the end of August and get those on the road. I would ask anyone with any information to continue to send tips to findmichael.org. If you are out of state and you have information that you think...
Is it echoing now? That's weird. Why wasn't it echoing before? All right, I'll stop the share. I'll reshare and see whether that helps it. It's nearly finished anyway. All right, let's see if that works.
To help us bring Michael home, I'm encouraging you to contact your local law enforcement team. They will then get in touch with us, and we can start working those leads as they come in. Please share what you have. You can also contact Crime Stoppers at 343-COPS. You can remain anonymous. The reward for the information leading to Michael's safe return has grown to $52,992. This fund has been maintained by the City of Fruitland. It's secure. This will remain in place until Michael comes home. I just ask that you continue to pray for Michael, for strength for his family, and the steadfast resolve for those who are working to bring him home. Thank you for standing firm with Michael's family and our continued law enforcement efforts. So with that, we'll stand for a few questions. Go ahead.
Okay, before we get into the questions, I just want to address a couple of comments here. So this one, I understand what you're saying, All in Tanks. I do. I really do understand what you're saying. But the thing is, with kids who are known elopers, they try to escape. Now, they knew that Michael couldn't get out of the front door, but it was the side door, the side garage door, that Michael had learned how to open. So, yeah, in hindsight, could they have put an extra lock on it? Yes, they could. But we are all wise in the benefit of hindsight. And when kids are growing that fast, you know, one day they couldn't do that thing. They couldn't reach the door. They couldn't open that window. And then one day they can. So, you know, it's playing catch up all the time, isn't it? I mean, I had a cousin, I told this little story in a video. I had a cousin who was an eloper. He was terrible, absolutely terrible. He would run away. He was just a nightmare, honestly. He was so hyperactive. He was bouncing off the walls. And my uncle and auntie had to keep everything locked. They had the front door locked at all times. They had the back door locked at all times. Now, one day, my auntie, I think she was out in the yard, like putting washing out or something. And cousin was inside. He wasn't much older than Michael. He probably was maybe 7, something like that. And she saw him at his bedroom window and he jumped out of a first floor bedroom window because he couldn't get out the door. And she was literally there and she watched him fall. And he just ran up to her like he didn't even sprain an ankle. That could have been devastating, right? He just jumped out of his window. She didn't know he could open that window. So what did they do? They had to get window locks. They had to double down on everything because one day he could just open that window. And even if a kid can open the window, do you think they're actually going to jump out? They might fall out by accident. That's how accidents happen. But jumping out just because he wanted to go in the garden. But she knew she was busy, so she wasn't going to, she would have had her eyes off him. So it was better just to leave him in the house where she knew he was safe for whatever time she was in the garden putting the washing out. That's the split second that when you have an hyperactive child, right, it's difficult. It really is difficult. And it can literally be you take your eyes off them for a second and they're gone. And unfortunately, most kids, every kid has their eye, the parents have their eyes off them. If you're a parent who's had children, I can 100% tell you that you're lying if you're going to say, I never took my eyes off that child, because there will have been a split second where you were distracted, a split second where you thought they were safe and they weren't. Usually it's fine. Usually accidents don't happen. Usually abductions don't happen. Just occasionally, unfortunately, they do. So I understand, Darling Tanks. I do. I understand the sentiment. However, it's, oh God, no echo now. It's weird. It's StreamYard. It's, yeah. And I'm sure that Tyler, who was the parent in charge, I'm sure that he beats himself up every single day. Every single day. Yes, it did. It was the surveillance very close to the splash pad that caught the white Honda. I don't know whether it was cameras at the splash pad itself or residents very close to the splash pad. But yeah, it did. The whole area had a lot of surveillance. He's somewhere. Yeah. Kids don't just evaporate. He is somewhere. Someone knows something. So hopefully they, it is. Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. And it's understandable, but nobody is going to blame themselves more than Tyler's blaming himself. Exactly. A 5-year-old should be safe, not only in their yard, they should be safe on the street, right? They should be safe. If you live on a quiet street, your kid should be safe. I mean, right. I'll tell you another story. You should call me Michelle Anecdote. But I've lived in this house for 10 years. It was the first summer that I lived here. So I moved in July. So it would have been, I hadn't been here for very long. And I had my front door wide open because it was hot. I had my front door wide open. And it was before I got a fence in my front yard. So like my front yard was open. And I was in the kitchen, like doing something, came in and there was a little kid sat on my settee watching TV. And I was like, hello, where did you come from? And I had no idea who this kid was. He'd literally just walked in through my yard into my house and sat and was just watching TV. And he was probably 2.5, 3 years old. And because I was new, I didn't know who he was. Anyway, second, I was about to like think, Michelle, think, whose kid could this be? And I certainly wasn't going to let him leave. I certainly wasn't going to say, oh, you don't live here, get lost. I was going to keep him safe until I located his parents. However, this man came running into my house. I mean, he didn't even wait to be invited. He ran into my house. He was like, oh, thank God. He said, I've literally come in from work and the gate didn't click. And if the gate doesn't click, it means that this little boy can open the gate. And it was a split second. And that little guy had come out of that house so fast. And why he decided to come into my house, I've no idea. He must have heard the TV on. It must have been a program that he liked. I've no idea. But just imagine if that little boy had walked into the house of somebody who wasn't going to keep him safe until his parent was located. Just imagine how disastrous that could be. Just imagine that that man would have blamed himself forever. And that's the situation that Tyler Vaughan's in right now. And it's awful. It really is awful. And I understand, I can understand people saying they should have done this, they should have done this, they should have done this. Yes, the props should have done that. However, we are all benefit. We are all of us are wise and one step ahead of our kids in the benefit of hindsight. So, yeah. I used to wander all over, but, you know, I'm old, so it's like abductions happened in my day as well. But yeah, I just wander around. I used to think I thought I owned the place when I was 5. You know, I don't think I'd have walked into someone's house though. I really don't. I don't think I would have done that even at 3. Just this little boy was like just very curious, and yeah, he's a teenager now. I saw him today, actually. But yeah, he's a teenager now. Must be 13 now. Anyway, let's see if we can understand these questions and answers.
You know, I would tell you that people like to deal in absolutes, and there's nothing about this case that is an absolute. So we will continue to investigate all aspects and all avenues in this case. And, you know, as I've said before, the family continues to be extremely cooperative and working with our investigation. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of where we're at. Tristan, you know, due to the number of searches with trained teams and the acreages searched, that is the reason why, and without success, that is the reason why we, you know, there's a possibility or a higher probability of abduction. That's what led us to that. Again, you know, as we continue to work through this thing, there are still no absolutes. So when I say everything's on the table, it's still on the table. Okay.
So everything is still on the table. However, their theory, their number one theory is abduction. Thank you, Miss Leah. Hit that like button. And I will, you know, there's always that slim chance it could have wandered off and fallen in the river. There's a slim chance. And when I show you the map, I'll show you how slim that chance is, but it's possible. So there's a slim chance that it was a freak accident. But just in that window of time, the quickness in which the search parties got there, the quickness in which people realized that, oh, I saw him, or, you know, and knew, they know the 20-minute window is there. The most obvious explanation is an abduction. Now, whether that is a complete opportunist stranger, which are rare, but they happen, or whether it's someone in the local neighborhood who's been watching kids. There's a splash pad, a park right there. It's very close to an elementary school as well. And the thing that terrifies me in all of these cases is that it's incredibly close to a state line. That always is a red flag for me. Where abductions are concerned, I think it's just that additional issue and problem close to a state line. Same with Summer Wells. She's very close to a state line. But yeah, anyway, so that's their leading theory, but they're keeping their options open. as they should.
You know, we're looking into that. But I think, like I said, you know, these leads and what we're doing, it's happening at the same time. So, yes, we're looking into friends and family close to the Vaughans, and we're looking outside as well. Yes, yes, it has. So, you know, there's a number of theories. And as a matter of fact, we develop many theories throughout the week as well. And so once we develop those theories, you know, plausible situations, then we vigorously get after that. And so I certainly don't want to discourage any information that's coming into the Fruitland Police Department, because the leads have been, you know, we're over 1,000 leads now, and we have to have that. I mean, I believe that, you know, in the midst of that, there's going to be that tidbit of information that breaks this case and helps us bring him home.
Absolutely. And how different is the attitude of J.D. Huff compared to the attitude of Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the TBI? It's like chalk and cheese, as we say around here. It's like night and day. Like, they've had 1,000 leads, every single one they've followed up. But they are saying, however obscure, however small you think this information is, turn it in anyway, because it could be that final puzzle piece that breaks the case and brings Michael home. Whereas a month ago, Leslie Earhart from the TBI said she didn't want to hear. They don't want to hear about from YouTubers. They don't want to hear because, oh, well, they're sick of all of that. Now, I know that the Summer Wells case has got insane. You know, some of the theories are absolutely crazy. And I think they're up to like 2,000 tips now. Right? But the TBI have the card team assisting them, the FBI card team assisting them. And it doesn't matter how obscure something might be, something that you think, oh, well, should I turn that in or not? No, I better not, because Leslie Earhart from the TBI told me I hadn't to. J.D. Huff is a much better police officer. He's a much better investigator. Not only does he instill more confidence, but he's doing the right thing. Obviously, in my opinion. You know, so because some people just do peace from Denise. Some kids just, I don't know. They catch a sound. They get an idea. They feel a bit bored. So they think, I know what. And Michael was one of those kids, that he was impulsive. He was clever, but impulsive. Oh, stupid internet kicked me off. I had to reset my wireless box. Yeah, I have lost internet. Yes, it's fine. Where did I go? My internet kicked me off. I just had to reset my router. I thought it was StreamYard at first, playing games. Still here. Don't worry. We're back. Don't worry, we're back. All right, we're nearly at the end of this. There's just a couple more questions to go, and then I just want to share the map with you, just to kind of like the take-home message, just saying, look, this is the environment, this is the place, this is how close Michael was to home. So, yeah, I'm watching my router. If I go again, right, I'll be back, but I'm just watching my router. It's awful. My internet is awful. Like, it's even worse when my son's here. My son's on holiday in Spain at the moment. But when he's gaming, it's awful. Anyway, let's get on.
That being said, do you think that, the last conference we had with members, do you think that not being able to release as much information as the public would like, or as much information as the case reports, has led to people coming up with these theories?
Yeah, I think it could be. But you also need to understand that we have an obligation, and in order to keep our case organized and strong when this thing is concluded, it's important that we hold that information close, at least at this point, right? There'll be a time for that, for public disclosure, and right now it just isn't. So that's the reason for my hesitancy to put out updates, because we are in the daily work of this investigation, and it's daily. So while it's certainly not a distraction, if I have significant information that needs to be passed, then I'll get it out there to you. But I just, we're just working this thing on a daily basis. So.
Is there anything you can say about persons of interest in this case? How many persons of interest?
I'm not going to really get into too deep on the persons of interest, but I will tell you there are multiple. Okay.
Are there any people that you interviewed or searched that have been not cooperative?
Yeah, there have been. Without getting into too much detail, I would tell you properties, vehicles, electronic devices, everything you think we would be serving search warrants on, more than likely we've served search warrants on. So.
And then you mentioned there were multiple persons of interest on there.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit about your daily efforts on this case? What does the daily look like when you're investigating?
So our day-to-day efforts start with an intelligence briefing first thing in the morning. We go over aspects of the case and current leads that we're working to try to develop new strategies. We pull in our partners from the FBI and the Idaho State Police, and we start with a direction for that day, and every day starts the same. But I will tell you, it has been this way since the day Michael went missing, right? We do the same thing every day, and it's intense. And so we're able to clear a lot of leads that way. We're making a lot of progress, working through the data, and like we have been from the beginning, that's kind of where I'll leave that.
In your investigation, have you been able to tie this possibly to other missing children or abductions that are similar?
We haven't. Although I know there are some similarities, such as the Summer Wells case, but we just haven't been able to tie that to that case. So. All right. Well, if I don't have any more questions, I really, again, you guys, I appreciate you. You guys have been phenomenal. My local media outlets, I can't thank you enough. Les, you're awesome. So I appreciate you. And, we'll keep after it. My intent, just so you guys know, is once we get the word on our Homeward Bound program and when those trucks are going to be outfitted, that we'll set up another time that we can do an unveiling on our truck with Michael's information, maybe bring you guys out at that point again, just to, view the truck, and, we'll get something out to the public when it comes to that as well. So, but again, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you. So.
God bless you, JD Huff, and everyone. I'm so impressed. I know that all police forces have their problems, and every investigation has its downfalls, but they have been brilliant in terms of, I know they don't give very many updates, but they can't to maintain the integrity of the investigation. They'd just be, saying, well, we've checked this and we've checked this and we've checked this, but he says what needs to be said, and for me, he instills confidence. So I think that's what you need. That's what you need when you're dealing with something so traumatic. You know, so right, before I let you go, I insist you stay for a little bit of map time. So I'll share my screen again. I've got to share my entire screen, I think, with this, because for whatever reason, Google, right? Can you see that, guys? I can't see the chat now because I've had to share my entire screen. So, all right. So play nice in chat just for 5 minutes because I can't see what you're up to. Right. So this is Michael's home. This is Fruitland. This is the main area of Fruitland. And then this is where Michael lives. Okay. This is his street. Okay. Now we've got Michael's street here, which is Southwest 9th Street. And this is the splash pad here and Crestview Park. Right. So fairly early on in the investigation, they released information that 2 adult males have been seen on surveillance. Now, I don't know which ones. There's several of these houses, I think, that has surveillance. I can't remember exactly which ones. If Navalis is in the chat, I haven't seen Navalis True Crime. He's done so much on the Michael Vaughan case, and I think he's highlighted where some of the cameras are. But anyway, surveillance picked up 2 males walking through the park. Now, obviously, they could have just been going for a walk. One of them has been cleared and has been accounted for. The other one is our friend that we've just seen a photograph of. He's the other one walking through the park. When Michael eloped on a previous occasion, where did he go? He went to the splash pad. That's where Tyler went. Realised Michael was missing, and all Michael had to do is walk along 9th, up here, along here to here. I mean, it's 2 minutes. It's so close. And there's neighbours, you know, it's not isolated. It's not busy, but it's not isolated. You know, there's neighbours all around, people who knew Michael, you know, and that's where Michael was headed to. Now, there was a couple of vehicles. I don't know exactly where these vehicles were, but they were on Southwest 8th Street, which is running parallel, just north parallel to Southwest 9th. And there was the blue Dodge and the Honda Pilot. The blue Dodge has been cleared. The Honda Pilot hasn't. Now, if we zoom out a bit, you know, just to look at the possibilities of Michael wandering off. Now, they searched and searched and searched thousands of acres, multiple times, all of this land. Now, there's 2 concerning things, actually 3 concerning things. If I do this and then this, what you see is that there is a huge cliff. Like Fruitland sits on like a plateau, and then this is a cliff. It's like a rock face, and it's something like 80 feet high or 50 feet high or something like that. I measured it. Now, one of the first places they will have looked, the searchers will have looked, is along here, because Michael lives here. Michael lives there. So did he run into the field? Now, at the time that Michael went missing, this was a cornfield. This was full of corn. So could Michael have gone playing in the corn? That's where I would have gone at age 5. So this is why they got the search crews out very, very quickly, because it was perfectly possible that instead of going east to the splash pad, he went west, playing in the cornfield, and fell down this huge cliff here. Now, there are dirt roads and access roads that take you down the cliff. And the Snake River here, it's about a mile or just over. And that is a huge, fast-flowing river. Now, as J.D. Huff said in that briefing, that if they could have dammed that river, they would have done. Now, Michael, could he have, in 20 minutes, could he have got out of his house, got down this cliff, run across this field to the Snake River? I find it unlikely. He'd have had to run like the wind. But this is why I believe that the police are saying that things are still on the table other than abduction, because there's always that possibility of a freak accident and somehow he's got to the river. Now, the final thing I'll just talk about is the Snake River isn't just a dangerous place, it's also the state line. So this side, east, is Idaho, and then west is Oregon. And look how close they are to the state line. Like, someone picks Michael up here, straight onto this road here, chuck a left here, and you're in Oregon. That concerns me. That concerns me. It concerns me. The reason why it concerns me is because when they put out alerts, they tend to go statewide. Now, I know that, they're sensible, and if they live, if a police force is next to a state line, then of course they're going to communicate with other states. But sometimes, it's an extra layer of messaging, it's an extra layer of bureaucracy. Right? Even with the Amber Alert, it's the same. So it always concerns me when anybody goes missing close to a state line, because that's where traffickers look. They look in areas where it's a quick access to an interstate. Interstate runs straight through Fruitland, and they are so close to Oregon. And then they've gone. They've gone. So yeah, absolutely. It was when I start a new case, right, one of the first things I do is go to the map. As soon as I know the location, as soon as it's released, where that exact location is, then I'm there on the map, and I'm looking at the distance between that place, interstates, state lines, rivers, forests, all the natural things that are hazards. But it's, for me, when we're looking at abduction, then interstate, very close to a school, very close to a park, a quiet neighborhood, a summer's evening where it's still light, children will be, still messing about. It was only like 6:45, 20 to 7, 6:45. It's not late. It's in terms of Michael, an active boy, he wouldn't have recognized that was evening. He'd have just thought, oh, it's light outside, I want to go and play. So it scares me. Yeah, it was on foot. Yeah. Now, according to Brandy, a dog did track him east along Southwest 9th, going east, so kind of heading towards the splash pad. But because the police haven't said that, Brandy said it, people don't believe it. So yes, dogs did track him. They've had multiple teams of dogs. They've had dogs. They've actually flown dogs in, like expert dog, the best of the best of the best dogs. And they've gone over that entire area with a fine-tooth comb. And I truly believe that if he'd have had an accident, fallen down the cliff, got lost in a field, got into a drainage ditch and got stuck, they would have found him. I'm convinced they would have found him, because it's mainly flat. I mean, it looks flat. It's probably not flat, but it looks flat. It's, it's a plateau and then a cliff and then another flat plateau, so it's actually quite nice ground to search, to be honest. Not like in Hawkins County, on Summers Mountain. It's not that kind of hazard. For dogs, that's perfect. That's perfect hunting ground for dogs, like fields. you know, a search dog can get a really good scent on a field because it's earth, and scent falls to the ground and it will collect in the earth. Like, it's harder for a dog to track on man-made surfaces. The scent dissipates quicker. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Erin. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed now. Oh, Cassie's here. I think Cassie's telling me she wants to go to bed. I've woken her up. Tilly hasn't moved. Tilly was snoring at one point. I don't even know whether you heard her. Jack was snoring at one point. But Cassie won't have it. She won't have it. I've disrupted her routine, so she's not happy. So I'm going to go. So thank you very much for joining me. And I'm just really pleased that this update has come and it clarifies some things. And I'll speak to you all very soon. So thank you for the super chats, those that sent them. And yeah, all good. Bye for now, guys. See you later.